Hi, this video is the last in our series of videos thinking about the relationship between culture, imagination, and the risks of agri-food. And this one's going to focus on public opinion in agriculture. And uh, there has not been a lot of recent research on this. Some of what has been published is presented here, but some of these studies, you'll note, go back a couple decades. Although the findings are probably somewhat stable since they also draw on several decades of research. So, for instance, Wimberly et al. Found that the public is fairly apathetic about agricultural policy. So, how many people do you know actually grasp the Farm Bill, or even know that that's a thing, or what it entails? Um, but nevertheless, people do have strong feelings about supporting small family farms. In other words, there's still a pretty strong pastoral sentiment in society. And the other side of that, many people have negative views about large corporate farms. Um, However, most people are not really aware of the fact that most farming is now done by large corporate farms and that they are the recipient, by way of policy, of the most favorable subsidies. Kendall et al. Found that women, younger people, black people, those with less education or income are more concerned with animal welfare. So, specifically looking at the issue of animals, that's the profile of who tends to have greater levels of concern. Those are not explained, by the way, those are simply correlations. Molnar et al. Found that the public has an uneasiness about the use of pesticides, so there is some risk aversion there. So, any kind of campaign to allay public concern about pesticides has not been that successful, which might be good because the public is open to perhaps policies favoring organic food, and that's exactly what Tomazik et al. Have found. The public is very supportive of organic foods. Another branch of research looks at public opinion about alternative versus conventional forms of agriculture. First, let's define those. Conventional agriculture involves standard reliance on the industrial model, so machinery, pesticides, fertilizers, and the whole bit. Food grown on large corporate farms. The alternative model, this is the organic, the biodynamic, and many other forms of non-industrial food production, which tends to occur on smaller, localized, and often family-operated farms. So there's a lot entailed by those concepts. Research on this topic was initiated by Buse and Dunlap going back to 1994 in their study on alternative conventional agricultural paradigm research, which measured levels of support for these different kinds of farming. And they want to understand who was more conventional and who was more alternative in their views. So they developed a survey instrument where higher scores indicated more support for alternative forms of agriculture and lower scores for conventional. So what they found was higher ACAP scores do predict actually alternative behaviors among farmers. So, if the surveys were conducted with farmers, they tended to also behave in ways consistent with those views. Women in the public tended to score higher in terms of preferring alternative agriculture, as do young people, those with more education. Uh, Also, the type of education was relevant. You know, people with liberal arts degrees versus those trained in conventional farming, because there are several educational majors that prepare people for work in conventional agriculture, and they're going to be more supportive of conventional farming. Um, Political ideology is related, with political liberalism leading to higher support for alternative farming, although uh, it would be incorrect to say that politically conservative people are against alternative farming when we're talking about specifically about small and family farms, because of the pastoral uh, preference among conservatives as well. It's not unique to liberals. So greater agrarianism in general is associated with higher levels of support for alternative farming. Fulkerson also explored this topic from a slightly different angle, not using the same instrument and disaggregating public opinion in terms of technology versus structure. So alternative technology would be, trying to grow crops without pesticides, for instance. And support for that is among the young, the women, racial minorities, those who are politically liberal, those at lower income levels, while those who are comfortable with conventional technology tend to be white, male, and have more education and income, ironically. So, in terms of support for structure, alternative structure, so we're talking there about small family farms versus large corporate farms. Those who are older and have less education and income tend to be more supportive of alternative structure, while those who support conventional corporate kind of farms, uh, women actually, racial minorities, and those with less education and income. So these are again some correlations, but we need a greater understanding on the dynamics behind these correlations, and so we need more research on this topic. And I hope to see more public opinion research come out on this comparison. Thank you.